Hey, Naomi. Figure out what happened to my join. What's this? No, I was gonna join at 6. Who? No, I'm trying to message this video. Okay, yeah. Ma, you kind of. Maybe we'll begin, and if people join, they'll join in. What do y'all think?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. Cool. Kyla, do you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to. Great. Well, welcome, everyone. We're excited to be with y'all tonight. Thank you for showing up. And yeah, we're excited to dive into some connection this evening, both with self and with one another. Yeah, so to give you just a little bit, Yaakov and I will introduce ourselves in a second, but I guess we'll give some brief guidelines on what's going to go down tonight. We're pretty much just going to guide through a series of different practices to keep the balance between being able to be with oneself while also being in connection with others. And so we'll guide you through some different like connection practices and also some different movement and breath practices to create more of that skillful awareness around how to be with ourselves and with others with really deep attention all at the same time. So yeah, to give you a bit of an intro of myself, and then Yaakov will introduce himself. My name is Kyla. I live in San Francisco. I'm a Moishe House resident here in San Francisco. And yeah, what I do in the world is I primarily do public speaking and facilitation around the topic of loneliness, particularly the impact of loneliness on millennials and Generation Z, which would be, those two groups together would be folks born between like 1980 to 2012. So it's a pretty big range, but young adults generally we can call them. And yeah, and speaking about the ways that we can bring more connection into our worlds, and one way that I love to do that is through running different workshops around creating skillful connection and creating meaningful conversations in a way that feels accessible to people without needing to reveal things in a way that doesn't feel safe or constructive in that moment. So I'm excited to bring some of that to all of you today and to be working with Yaakov on this amazing project.
Ditto, Kyla. Yeah, hey everyone. My name is Yaakov. Ginsberg-Schreck. I am a rabbinical student here in Boston. I'm in Brookline, Boston, and study at Hebrew College. And I also direct an organization called Breath Lab, which is a center for Jewish embodiment that's like premised on the idea, well, one, selfishly, it's so that I get to have like movement breath practice within the frame of like Jewish practice, but also was premised on the idea on the experience of breath and body being so central to Jewish text and tradition, all the way back to the creation of humans and the moment that humans come to life, where it says, "Vayipach ba'apav nishma chayim," where God blows the breath of life into humans' nostrils, and that's when they become the nefesh chaya, into a living being or a living soul. So here, bringing some of that in, what Kyla and I had talked about for this theme of embodied connection was feeling like there was a really organic breakdown into like what each of us does, where like embodied connection in ourselves, with ourselves, felt like something that I could naturally offer a piece of, and embodied connection with others is so in Kyla's wheelhouse. So when we were thinking what this workshop might look like, there were a couple models that came to mind. One was like, I could do some movement or breath, ground us in ourselves, and then Kyla could bring us from that place of self-connection into connection with others. Or we were like, we could flip it, and Kyla could like lead us in embodied connection with others, and then I could guide us in like tuning back in with ourselves and seeing what we want to absorb and what we want to let go of, and assimilating and digesting the experience. And then we were like, what if we did neither of those? And instead we went back and forth, like life works, in the sense of having a connection with ourselves, coming from that into connection with others, coming back to ourselves, back to others, through the course of the day and weeks and years in life. How do we maintain that balance of connection inward and outward? So we're going to do a little pilot workshop program around that. And yeah, we'll be like ping-ponging a little with ourselves and with each other. So the first thing we'll do to lead us in is a moment of self-connection, and then I'll pass it over to Kyla for bringing the group, kind of convening the group and meeting each other. So, cool. I would like to invite you to stand if you're able. So, it says, there's a line in the Torah about Avraham, that he rose in the morning and went to the spot where he had stood. And there's a question of, why is this detail so significant? The Torah is so sparing with detail. Why do we need to know that he rose and went to the spot where he stood? And what the sages say is that it's the mark of spiritual growth and evolution, that we can wake up in the morning and stand right to the height that we'd reached the day before. So as we come to stand, we'll take our feet about hips width distance apart. And if you'd like, you can close your eyes or take a soft gaze, gentle gaze, and move your awareness into your feet. And without moving, adjusting anything, simply feel where the weight is passing from your body into your foot, into the ground. Check in with the left ball of your foot, the left inner toe mound, the left outer toe mound, and bring an evenness into the weight there. This is an allowing the natural wisdom of the body to calibrate its own weight distribution. And then into the right ball of the foot, feeling the weight passing through the right big toe mound, and through the left, through that, through the inner and outer big toe mound of the right foot. And then feeling the weight through the heel of both feet. And allowing the weight to be evenly distributed through both feet. And then in each foot, pressing gently down through the ball of the foot and the heel. And then from there, you can take a Smooth, deep inhale. And on the exhale, letting the weight pass all the way down through your body, down your legs, into your feet. We'll take 2 more really sweet, deep breaths like that. On the exhale, you'll let the weight pass all the way down through your body. 1 more. Letting go. And then briefly, we'll build our way up before closing with a couple breaths, continuing to check in and keep your awareness in the feet. You'll bring your knees, you'll draw them back so they're over your heels. You'll roll your shoulders up, back, and down. You'll bring some really gentle engagement into your belly. You can maybe feel your core draw your pubic bone a little up towards your rib cage. You can take a hand behind your head, behind your skull, and just gently, as if your hand is the wall, press the back of your skull into your hand to bring length into your neck. Let your hands fall back to your side. And standing tall, rooting down, and from the root, rising up through the spine, up through the head, you'll take 1 deep breath for yourself. Noticing how you feel, where you are, what you're holding, and who you're with. And then when you're ready, you're invited to sit back down and into the circle.
Thanks, Yaakov. Whew. Yeah, I noticed there's a sense of agitation in my body and mind that it feels much more like melted now, just having like been with myself. So thank you. Beautiful. So we're gonna head into some interconnection now that we're hopefully feeling a bit more grounded within ourselves. And for those of you who have your camera off, I'll invite you to turn it on for the rest of for this next section at least, so that we can be a bit more in connection with one another. And I think it'll be helpful for us to be able to see each other's faces to make that a little more feasible. So I'd like to start us just with some quick intros of one another so we can get to know each other. And I'm just gonna type into the chat. I'd love if you share your name, your location, maybe 1 sentence to describe how you're feeling, and 1 thing you're needing more of right now. Great. Beautiful. And as folks continue to join us, I will continue to repost those directions into the chat so they can see them. And I'll just ask that you keep this relatively brief, maybe 60 seconds a person, so that we can dive into some more interconnection. And for those of you that are just joining us, if you have your video on, that would be fabulous, so we can have a bit more interconnection happening, and it'll actually be a little bit more crucial for the next thing that we're going to do, so that we can maybe get a sense of who's here. And if you didn't see what I put in the chat, I'm putting it in there one more time, and we're just going to do some super brief check-ins all together. So I'll go ahead and go first, and if you would just choose the next person to go after you, that would be great. Oh, and if you could also say your pronouns, that would be awesome. Thank you so much. So my name is Kyla. I'm in San Francisco. I use she, her pronouns. One thing I'm feeling right now, feeling some curiosity and intrigue over how the next hour will unfold together. And one thing I'm needing more of is a hug. I need a hug really bad, really, really bad. Ophir, will you go next?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Good to see y'all. My name's Ophir. My location is, I use he, him pronouns. My location is the community I live in, Kenticle Farm in the East Oakland and Fruitville neighborhood in Ohlone land. And I am landing from a pretty swirly day or a few days. And one thing I need more of right now is clean air. Debate.
Ophir, will you choose the next person to share?
How about Naomi?
I'm Naomi, and I am also on Ohlone territory in the Laurel near Ophir right now. And I'm feeling some expansiveness and possibility right now. And one thing I need more of is transportation possibilities. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. I've been biking, and so it's hard to get around on a bike or walking with the smog and the smoke. So, and let's see. I will throw it over to Oshadegea. I'm not sure I'm saying it right.
Hi, I'm Oshadegea. Hope everyone can hear me. My pronouns would be he, him. I am in West Talent, Oregon, just northwest of Ashland. I have been feeling blocked and cluttered energetically and I guess physically. And what I'm needing more of is clarity with myself to give me direction and how to manage what's in front of me. Yeah. And I'll throw it on over to Josh.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name's Josh. My pronouns are he, him. And one sentence to describe how I'm feeling: Zoom fatigue. And / like computer fatigue. I think they sort of go hand in hand. Just looking at a screen. Been on since, for the past almost nonstop for the past 10 hours or so. So it's been too much. Did step away a little bit for a quick bike ride just before this, but one thing I need more of: time away from the computer. I'll make them both interrelated. And I'll pass it over to my dear friend, Kyla.
Okay. Okay. My name's Michaela. She, her, hers. I live in Washington, D.C., and Josh sent me this link about 20 minutes ago, so going with the flow. So right now I'm feeling we'll say the other thing first. One thing I need more of is a proper to sleep and go to bed at proper hours. So I need more of my sleep hygiene and not be nocturnal and whatnot. And how I'm feeling right now, I feel a little bit more connected, which is good, having a moment. Yeah. So, do we do Eric already?
Everyone, I'm Eric. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm here in DC, which I think at least at one point was Anacostian lands. I am overall sitting here just like, I don't know, being fairly grateful, I think. I think there's a lot of like shitty stuff that's been going on, but there's like a lot of stuff that I'm still grateful for, even in spite of all the shitty stuff. So that's definitely been helping me get through. And I think the one thing that I need right now, or I'm looking for right now, is a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of boost. I was laid off a couple months ago, and so like wanting to try to figure out exactly the next step and like get that inspiration for where I want to go is the inspiration that I'm looking for. And I guess Sasha, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks. Hi, my name is Sasha, she, her pronouns. I am in Ohlone land in West Oakland, California. I was feeling really disjointed and emotional and like all over the place yesterday and this morning. And I'm feeling a little bit more like myself right now, especially since I had a really wonderful conversation right before this with a new friend who I've been meaning to talk to for a really, really, really long time. And it just went amazing. And that I'm here because I set a lot of intentions to show up to things like this. And similar to what Josh said, I get really like computered out at the end of the day and never do. And I don't feel that way right now. So I'm really happy to be here. I need more clean air. I need more clean air, namely because I need more time in both my yard and also just outside. Like I really, really want to go for a run. I can like feel it in my legs. So that's what I need. I'm going to pass it to, is Rachel Smith on? Are you on? Or do you want to be passed to? Maybe not. Okay, I will pass it to Yaakov.
Hey, I'm Yaakov. I use any and all pronouns. I am zooming in from Brookline, Massachusetts. How am I feeling? I am feeling like toggling between lately these days, like the stress of like feeling like I'm juggling balls in the air, and then stepping back and being like, oh, I like what I'm juggling. And then being like, oh, but I'm stressed that a ball is going to drop, and like flipping back and forth between those two. Something I need right now more of is color. My brother Daniel's in town visiting, and that's color in its own wonderful way. And we're painting my living room, and like the walls in this apartment are gray, and I just can't wait to get like bright color up and around. Yeah. And I will pass it to Nechama. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yes, pronounced perfectly. So my name is Nechama Shena, and I'm she, her, and I'm actually in Pardes Chana, Israel right now. I woke up at 3 a.m., still jet lagged, and I'm so glad I turned my phone on. And because I was laying in bed thinking, like, I need to get up and do yoga right now. I'm going to call someone in California to ask them if we can do yoga together. And so this is what I think we're doing movement. Yes.
It's going to be more like breath and a meditative moment.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, I just need to be in my body and stretch a little bit. And yeah, I'm in quarantine right now for another 9 days with 2 kids. So it's been pretty intense. It's actually been great. I don't know how to manage them being on their phones that someone else bought for them. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling. Is there something else I was supposed to say?
That is great. Thank you so much, Nechama. Thank you everyone for sharing. So we're going to go into a practice now that I'm going to keep pretty brief. I think it'll be helpful for me to reveal I'm feeling a little like pressed for time. I think just naming that will like help me let go of that a little bit. But I'm appreciating all the check-ins here. And so I want to go into a practice where we can notice the things that are happening with ourselves, the things we assume that are happening with others, and what we think is happening as a whole group. So this practice is called the seams. And we're going to go just like a few minutes at a time of noticing, of using the sentence stem, I seem. So just speaking from our own personal experience, saying something like anything you're noticing within yourself. So I seem to be feeling really tense in my shoulders. I seem to be really focused on everyone else but me. I seem to be feeling really frustrated in this moment. It's really whatever you want to share, just kind of like a really brief one sentence. And this is organic. We're not going to call on each other. If you don't want to say anything, you don't have to. Just sort of let these things arise. And then I'll let us know when we're going to shift into you seem. So calling on others. And I might say, Ophir, you seem really contemplative in this moment. Yaakov, you seem really annoyed at me. And that was a demo. Those weren't real, but I'll just name that the you seem part can be pretty vulnerable because this person's not going to respond. And we're pretty much just naming judgments and projections. And so to just name that, yeah, that can be uncomfortable and it's risky. And again, this is a choose your own adventure activity. So if you don't want to say anything, you don't have to, and we're not responding to one another. And then lastly, we'll move into we seem. So noticing how I feel we are as a group. So we seem to be really connecting right now. We seem to be not really on the same page together. We seem to all be really tired tonight. Whatever it is that feels true for me to name about the entire group, which again is a projection because we don't know for sure what's happening with everyone. I'm just naming what feels real for me. Any questions I can answer about that before we dive in? Yes, Michaela.
I just think it's helpful for me to continue to like put the little blurbs of what you're saying into the chat, just because not everything, but that's just helpful to me at least. I don't know about other people.
Yeah, thank you so much for naming that. Yeah, I've put the 3 sentence stems into the chat. And again, we'll probably just be going for like maybe a minute at a time. And I'll let us know when we're going to transition into the next seam of things. Beautiful. So we can go ahead and get started. Again, we're going to be starting with I seem. And as a reminder, you don't have to speak if you don't want to, just organically naming what's here for you.
Well, since I didn't mute myself, I'll go. I seem tired and awake, very present in the material plane right now, and haven't really touched with my heart, soul, emotional body for a while now. And I will pass it to Josh.
So we're actually not going to pass to each other.
Okay, fine.
We'll just, organically as things come up. And I'll just ask that we maybe keep these to like a really short, maybe just like a one sentence of like, I seem really agitated right now, of like just naming sort of like what's super present in this exact moment.
I seem distracted and hungry since I just like had a bite of food in front of you all and was also looking at my second monitor.
I seem curious.
I guess I seem a little unsettled.
I seem a little unsure.
I seem cautious. Myself.
We seem.
We're actually going to keep it just to I seem for right now. Sorry, Dor.
I seem confused.
On that note, let's move it into you seem. So again, at this point, naming what we think we see in others, just you seem.
Dora, you seem like a quick adjuster.
Sasha, you seem engaged.
Eric, you seem stoic.
Nechama, you seem exhausted. Dora, you seem like you just showered.
And now we'll lastly move into we seem.
We seem available.
We seem more present.
We seem like we're here for a common purpose.
We seem curious.
We seem emergent.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for sharing. I apologize for the confusion. It's actually always really helpful feedback that I welcome when people are confused. Helps me to refine my explanation and facilitation skills. And I'm going to pass it to Yaakov for our next piece of connection.
Cool. Yeah, thank you, Kyla. I definitely feel like multiple degrees more like aware of and like attuned to the energies of the people in this room and the space. And I'm so grateful to be here with like each of you and all of you. And I'm noticing myself being like, wait, I don't want to turn back in now. I want to like stay talking with everyone, which I think is part of it. And for those of you who joined more recently, just a little bit of frame for what we're doing is on this theme of embodied connection. We're trying to capture the sense of real life, of shifting between embodied connection with ourselves and then stepping and having an embodied connection and a felt connection with others, and then coming back into ourselves and then back out into the world. So what we're doing now is from that felt like a little flower opening of like seeing each other and seeming with each other. Now we're gonna, for about 20 minutes or so, do a dropping back in before then coming back out. So if you want to, what we'll do is we'll be sitting and doing some breathing there. But if you want to just take a moment, if there's any, like Nechama, you talked about moving, there's any like stretch you're feeling called to do, if you're feeling zoomy, like if you want to lie down, do a side bend, like if you want to do a forward fold, like you can take a couple moments just to wiggle. Maybe you can, like, as you're wiggling, tune into your breath, see how it's coming in and out. Maybe deepen it a little bit. Just invite it in. Maybe like your first, or more than first, but just like really deep, full, not thinking about anything else, full breath of the day. And then as you're feeling ready, you can guide yourself to a comfortable sitting position. And if like your mind is really worrying and you want something a little more restorative, you can totally take this lying on your back, maybe feet on the ground, knees together. Wherever you are, where you feel like I can be here comfortably, like not efforting for a little while. And then once you find that place, you can have your hands maybe in your lap. If you're sitting, roll your shoulders up and back. Bring your spine into alignment, your head over your shoulders. And you can close your eyes or take a soft gaze. And first things first, feel the place where your body is connecting with the earth. So that could be your feet on the ground, or on your back, it's the length of your back and shoulders where they're making contact in the back of your head. If you're sitting upright, feel your tailbone, feel your sitting bones rooting into the earth. And then tune your awareness into your breath. Noticing, without any sort of adjustment, any sort of control, noticing how your breath is naturally coming in and how it's naturally coming out. And sometimes it might feel like, oh, it's a little restricted, and that's okay. Or it might feel spacious, and that's also what reality is. As your breath organically enters and organically exits, you can begin to really softly, without pulling the breath in, just inviting in a slightly deeper, fuller breath and a slightly deeper, fuller exhale. As you continue to breathe in and out, you might notice on the inhale, the breath filling up your torso from the base of your belly up to the ribs and up to the collarbones. And then exhaling, feeling it pouring out in a smooth, gentle contraction all the way down the torso. Smooth breath in, smooth breath out. And as you keep your awareness on this gentle, rhythmic inhale and exhale, staying in that balanced place where the breath is happening at once on its own and with your gentle, aware participation. Notice how you feel. Even in that moment of meeting each other, there may have been an array of experiences. There may have been moments of excitement, of curiosity, of nervousness, whatever they were. Noticing how you're feeling, the different pieces you're feeling. And then tuning back more fully into the breath. The fullness of the inhale, fullness of the exhale. And now notice where your mind is, if there are any recurring thoughts or thought forms. Notice the texture of those thought forms. Are they sharp? Are they more soft? And then if you can, notice the relationship between this mental topography and your emotional landscape. How when a thought form arises, it takes your physical and emotional being there. And in the emotional landscape, your thoughts are also in tow. And then again, drop back into the breath. You might notice whether the breath has shifted from the beginning, whether it's fuller, slower, or whether agitation feels more present. And now as you feel the fullness of the breath, you'll restrict the zone of awareness to the sensation of the breath actually entering the nose and leaving the nose. So you're really zooming in now to this little area between the upper lip and base of the nose. And you're all doing great. And if at any point it feels like, unpleasantness and discomfort is a part of stillness because the motion that we have been maybe avoiding becomes more present and more clear. And yet this isn't supposed to be painful emotionally, mentally. So at any point you can ease up. But if you're feeling like you can stay at the sensation of breath coming into the nose and coming out of the nose, this is the place where the Torah says that the divine breathed the breath of life into humans. And if you place your awareness at the nostril, you might notice or be able to follow or ride the current of these forces, or this force drawing the breath in and out. And that you in this moment can witness yourself being breathed. The first question God asks humans in the Garden of Eden is, Ayeka, where are you? And this is an eternal, constant question. So when you feel your mind go, it's okay, just notice where you are and come back to this ever-present animating Nishmat Chayim, this breath of life. Noticing when pleasant sensations arise, allowing yourself to experience gratitude for them without attachment. And when unpleasant sensations arise, allowing yourself to experience a piece of truth that they hold without aversion. And always returning to the breath. I will leave you here for 5 minutes to be purely with yourself. Okay. You can maybe bring a little bit of a fuller breath in and a fuller breath out. You might want to bring some awareness into your fingertips or toes, wiggle around a little, allow your breath to draw you back up to the surface of your physical body, and just being in this moment. Any little, shakes or head rolls you want to do. And just as you step back in, just noticing maybe you might have gone through a huge experience just in yourself, how many places we all carry, how many states we all carry in ourselves, and noticing how you're feeling right now. We'll take, before coming fully back into relational communal space, we'll take a 5-minute moment so you can bridge back in. So if you want to get a little water, if you want to journal, if you want to sit still, we'll come back at in 5 minutes. So it's 6 Western time.
Thanks, Yaakov. Yeah, we'll see y'all back here in 5 minutes. right, everyone. If you haven't already, now is your moment to make your way back. Great. So we're going to spend the next little chunk doing more interconnection practices. Thank you so much, Yaakov, for getting us deeper into our breath and body. That was delicious. So what we're going to do for the next section, I'm about to explain a bunch of directions to you, and then I will put all of these into the chat in written form so that you can have both of those forms. So we're going to play a game based around curiosity, and we're going to put you into breakout rooms. You'll be with one other person, and one person who will be partner A is going to you're going to ask your question for 3 minutes straight. You're going to ask your partner questions, and if it's helpful for you to use a sentence stem, you might say, one thing I don't know about you is, or one thing I feel curious about is. And you can really ask them anything you want as long as you feel genuinely curious about hearing the answer. So this could be like, I'm curious about the last time you went on an airplane. I'm curious about where you grew up. I don't know when you last had a really good cry. You can ask about really anything. And your partner, instead of answering those questions, what they're going to do is they're going to hold up their fingers 1 through 5 to indicate how interested they are in answering that question. And so it is not meant to be an insult like your question sucks, but rather like, I don't really feel curious about telling you about that. So as an example, if someone were to ask me, I'm curious about where you grew up, I'd give them a 1 because I frankly don't care about talking about Maryland. It doesn't feel interesting to me. I don't want to talk about it. If someone were to ask me, I'm curious about the best live music experience you've ever had, I'd give them a 5 because I really want to tell you about that. It's an amazing experience. And so you're going to do this for 3 minutes, again, not answering the questions, just holding up your fingers. And then at the end of those 3 minutes, and I will be giving you messages into the breakout rooms to tell you when each of these things is coming up. Your partner is going to choose which question they want you to answer, as long as it was a 4 or 5. So again, if I were getting asked the questions, my partner is going to choose which one I'm answering as long as it was a 4 or 5. And you might have time to get through more than one question, just sort of depends how long you answer for, but you're going to have 4 minutes to answer 1 or more questions. And then at the end, your partner is going to give you a gift in the form of 3 sentence stems. And those sentence stems are, my first impression of you was, I felt you the most when, and what I think I get about you is. And then you're going to switch and you're going to do that again the other way. So I'm going to put all of these directions into the chat. I know I just said a lot of things. Are there any questions I can answer for you before we go into breakout rooms? Yes, Naomi.
Is it 4 minutes for one person doing the talking or 4 minutes total for the 2 minutes each?
You'll just be going like one partner at a time. So yeah, it'll be 4 minutes for me to answer the question, possibly more questions. Yeah, and then the other person will answer questions the second round. Any other questions I can answer?
If I were to ask you the question right now, can you tell me about the artwork behind you? What would your finger response be?
Mine? I'd probably give you a 4. It's good artwork. My friend made it. Beautiful. Okay, I want to make sure I am doing all these breakout rooms correctly. Great. Oh, wait, no, I left someone in a room by themselves. I don't want to do that.
Can I ask a question? Will you be giving us the 3-minute warning in our breakout rooms, or should we track it ourselves?
Yeah, I will give you all of your instructions as we go.
Kyla, just check the options setting on the breakout rooms to make sure they're not set to close early. When you click.
Correct, they are not. We are good. Okay, I'm going to send you to breakout rooms. Again, I will keep time for you, and I will see you back here in a bit. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you so much. Beautiful. I know we're right at time. I would love to get a couple shares about what that was like for you, something that struck you about that practice, something you learned about yourself or other with some permission to share. Anything that you want to bring up.
I think coming from DC for the past 9 years has made me a really good superficial question asker. Because people always ask, like, what do you do? Where you're from? What part of the federal government do you work for?
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. And this exercise and activity really forced me to dig deeper. And I think I'm thankful that I went second because my partner was so great in like asking some awesome thought-provoking questions about me. And then I was able to, I think, hopefully return the favor as well.
Beautiful. Thanks, Josh.
Okay, so Josh invited me to this 3 minutes after it started, so I had no idea what the fuck I was getting into. And so when there's the things, I was like, what's going on? So I was lucky that like Sasha was with me because she was like easy going and things. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. But I'd like to think that Josh picked me to do this because he thought it would be like a good vibe for me because we do know each other pretty well. But I was like, okay, well, there must be some reason why he thought that I should be invited or like be part of this. And he knows just I'm online all the time anyways. But so thanks for the opportunity, Josh. But also that was scary because I didn't know what's going on or what. Just throwing it out there.
Thank you, Michaela. Any other shares here?
Yeah, I really like
Yeah, I'll go. Oh. After you, brother.
Go for it. You're already unmuted. You can go ahead.
Well, I
Go
guess.
for it.
Yeah, this was very wonderful. I was very nervous, which I realized is why it was so special because of the level of intimacy and just being present, because you really have to sit with yourself and then connect with another human being. And it was wonderful, and I really appreciate my partner in it. And yeah, it's very real, and I value that. And kind of glad that it was just one person at this point, because yeah, it's a good start. So thank you.
Thank you. And Dor, would you like to be our last sharer of the evening?
Sure. Yeah, I really appreciate that of like allowing to go into curiosity and yeah, just really observing people and both like in the breakout group and before of really being able to drop into the curiosity around yeah, the people around me, and especially these days when there's like so much in person, like, you know, like keep distance to be able to actually. Is there an echo for y'all? Ophir, can you please turn on? Yeah, no, I'm in Ophir like in a room right. Ophir, just turn it on. And so, is it better now? Okay, great. and yeah, just love going into curiosity and connection, and so it's just really nourishing. So.
Yeah, thank you so much. Beautiful. Well, thank you all so much for sharing. Thanks for staying a few minutes over. Yaakov, anything you'd like to share as we close up? Oh, you're muted.
Honestly, being muted is somehow feels relevant to what I want to share of like silence. But no, that was so special. Thank you, Kyla, for leading those pieces of connection, that piece of connection. Yeah, like I just hope that this process of like going into self and like into and then being with each other and then back into self and being with each other, like that like wave like continues to feel or feels relevant, feels helpful, and then our paths will all cross again. This was really wonderful to see you and to meet you.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, Dor and Ophir, for making all of this possible and for inviting us in.
Thank you. Oh, Dor, were you going to say something, or Ophir? Or Ophir, do you want to talk about the next session?
Yeah. Well, when I just want to say, Dor, can you mute now? Yeah, I just wanted to thank Yaakov and Kyla for the session. It was really great. In the midst of my own swirl of life, it was nice to drop in and connection to my body and to others. And yeah, we'd love for everyone to join. We have one more session left in this health and wellness series that we have, each one kind of centered on a different attribute of the divine or Kabbalah tree of life attribute. And the next one is about balance. And we're going to have a yoga breath flow mixed in with like an herbalist nutritionist who's going to kind of like share all the different practices to keep balance in the body in these times during COVID and with fires or whatever it may be that's in your environment. So if you want to join in for that, that's going to be next week. Yeah, it was really good to be with everyone this evening. And the registration link is in the chat, I see. Thank you again, Kyla and Yaakov. Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all.